In my family, freedom rolls in on two wheels and an aluminum frame. Somewhere around age 7 or 8, Webb children become old enough to set out from our summer retreat entirely on their own. "Here's your bicycle," someone will say. "Come back for lunch." For the next 2 or 3 hours, there will be no overt parental supervision at all. No one to consult about deciding where to go. I can remember my own day of Jubilee as though it were yesterday, and the look on my little cousins' faces is unmistakable. Freedom. For the first time ever in life. Freedom. Freedom starts small, mind you. There are only 2 or 3 places that a child can go with her bicycle on a tiny little island, but the experience teaches her how to use her freedom well. As she grows older, her freedom will expand, and her experience of freedom will become more complete. Easter Day is entirely about freedom. The freedom to say yes to those things that will raise us up, and the freedom to say no to those things that will bring us down. Easter Day is the promise that we really can be the people that God created us to be. Free people, liberated people, people unencumbered by the expectations of the world. When St. Peter enters the empty tomb, he sees the linen wrappings lying there and the cloth that had been on Jesus' head rolled up in a place by itself. Peter would have been familiar with the motif. 9 chapters earlier, when Jesus raises his friend Lazarus from the dead man comes out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus says in that moment, "Unbind him and let him go." Lazarus is unbound. Jesus is unbound, and we can be unbound as well. One of my colleagues in Virginia writes this on the subject of freedom. When Satan tempted Jesus in the wilderness, he told him that he could have it all, anything he ever wanted. This is not the freedom that Christ offers. Christian liberty is the freedom that comes with being whom God has created you to be. God did not create us to be concerned with wealth or status or power. We die little deaths every day when we lust after these temptations. God created us to find our rest in Him alone. Easter Day is our invitation to leave behind everything that binds us and our promise that we really can. In short, Easter Day is our invitation to live. Most days I feel as though I am still a child in my understanding of Easter freedom, my understanding of true Christian liberty. The bands of cloth still grip my wrists. Yet to all of our shortcomings, each and every one of them, Jesus says, "Unbind him and let him go." Freedom starts small, and we have much to learn. The promise of this day is that the frontier of our freedom will always be ahead of us. As we learn to live into our freedom more and more, additional measures of freedom will be given to us. Until that day when we are freed even from our mortal bodies. Until that day when we are free to live together with God in perfect unity, just as God always intended. Alleluia, Christ is risen. The Lord is risen indeed. Alleluia.